Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Pat of Pat's Home Craft. In this video I have some Mackenzie Childs Inspired Shabby Chic Tea Time DIYs. Now let's get to those crafts. Mackenzie Childs is known for their beautiful decorative pieces and their teapots. They're known for those, and they're so beautiful, but those extravagant price tags are really through the roof. So I wanted to make something that was a lot more budget friendly. So I thrifted this adorable little coffee pot that I'm going to create into my inspired piece. And I'm going to place 2 coats of white chalk paint. I participated in Indiana Jones craft battle against Annie herself, and we had the best time. And I began to create this Mackenzie Childs Shabby Chic teapot because this was the craft that Annie had decided for us to do. It was super fun. She made a super cute craft. You need to check her video out, and you need to go to her channel. I've placed both links in my description box down below. But after I placed my 2 coats of white chalk paint and I let them dry, I decided to go ahead and on the top part of this coffee pot, which I'm going to say now teapot because I'm going to transform it into a teapot, I placed that Harlequin look, the diamond shapes that are so famous for Mackenzie Childs, and I just hand painted them on. They're not perfect, but Mackenzie Childs painting is all, it's hand done, and so it's not all perfect either. And after I've done that, I've placed a black stripe on a ridge down at the base, and now I'm coming in with some ballet slipper and creating these pink stripes over the white to really give it that soft, feminine, shabby chic look. And after I've created the stripes, which I've only placed 1 coat because I didn't want it to be super thick, I wanted it to look authentically hand painted. And now I'm taking just some simple gold acrylic paint and I'm decorating all those swirls that are all along the edges and this framing of it's like a framework that's around every one of the sides of my teapot. And this circular thing that looks like a wheel is actually a little grinder that was for the coffee pot apparatus, and then like a small drawer that was below it. But they're both simply decorative, and this teapot is decorative. It is not intended for real use. It is simply for decor. So if you do some painting with something like this, if you need to make sure and not paint anything on the inside, because you don't want to drink any of that because that could be a little toxic. So now I'm just continuing on with the gold paint. Now what I did do with the gold paint after it fully dried, I did go back and really give it some more pop by placing a 2nd coat of gold acrylic paint. And here I have a ridge that went around the top part of that. And I'm going to paint that gold, and then gold along the top, which has kind of a scalloping along the edging going downwards. And I thought that the gold really brought that out. This little piece was so adorable, but it was so dated with the browns. And now this is really coming to life and looking, I think, absolutely adorable. And now I'm going to paint some pink inside of this little wheel, and then I'm going to add some additional striping to the top portion. You know, whenever you place some free-handed type of painting on your pieces, just go very easily. Don't just take your time, don't go fast. And along the top here it said the old grind. or the old grinder, and I highlighted that in black, but I really didn't like it, so I will go back and change that in a moment. Now the entire handle I did paint with 2 coats of gold chalk paint, and I loved how it made it pop. And for the spout, I created those wonderful polka dots that Mackenzie Childs is also known to use throughout a lot of the pieces. I want to say her, but I don't know if it's a her or not, but I know the company. It's just the pieces that they do create with a lot of polka dots. And see, here I am covering up what I did not like about that lettering, and I'm going to just let that dry, and then I will come back and show you what I do with that. Now the top lid was supposed to be a bunch of little coffee beans, but now we've created like a teapot. So I'm just going through and using my ballet slipper, and I'm just painting every other one of them, just making it look almost like candy and transforming those coffee beans into something more fluffy and feminine. And then I'm going to paint along the edging, the gold acrylic paint. Now I did not finish this project in Annie's craft battle, and so hopefully now you will get to see the rest of it. And here I am just adding some more diamond pattern shape to the top portion of that instead of leaving it white. And Mackenzie Childs is known for using some gold and just streaking it over the entire piece, and so that's what I'm doing with my wispy little brush. Is I'm just taking a little bit of gold and I'm just streaking it all over the entire coffee pot. The only place I didn't streak it over was the polka dots, because I didn't know if I would like that, so I left that alone. And then I'm also applying some of that streakiness to the very top, and it really did add to the top of it. I didn't think it would do that much, but it really did add a lot to it. It looked a little bit plain, but adding that gold to the pink and the white really made it look finished. And once I have let everything dry completely, I'm going to use my super shiny Mod Podge, and it's a super gloss, and I'm going to place one really good coat over the entire piece and also the lid, and it really makes it pop. It just really brings out, it's just so shiny, and I love it. And next I will create a bow for you. But before I get started on that, I wanted to talk to you about this craft challenge, which is the Chic for Cheap, brought to you by CRISTI Creates. CRISTI's channel link will be placed down in the description box, along with the playlist link for this craft challenge. And CRISTI's co-host for this craft challenge is Crafting with Cass. Her channel link will also be in the description box. So please visit both ladies at their channels. They've got wonderful ideas, and also be sure to check out the rest of the playlist link with all these wonderful ideas that the DIYers have brought to you. This bow that I'm going to create, I'm going to use these Dollar Tree ribbons, and then I've got 2 very lacy ribbons from Walmart, and then I purchased this beautiful black and white stripe from Hobby Lobby. I'm not going to create a traditional bow, or actually create a bow in the traditional way. I'm going to try to be a little bit more conscious of the usage of this lace. Some of it was a little bit more expensive, so I wanted to be careful with it so I could use it for future projects. And I'm going to show you how I'm doing that. I'm just simply creating one single loop. 'Of each one of these ribbons. and then just cutting them. Now this will go on the handle of my teapot, and I didn't want it to completely overwhelm it. I wanted it to complement it, so I needed to be very careful also and not make a bow with lots of loops. So once I've cut these up, I'm just going to hot glue them all together. And now I'm going to take my Dollar Tree ribbon, which, because it is a lot cheaper, I will be using a lot more of this in my bow. And here you see I'm just making 2 small loops there. And now I'm going to put all of this together, and I'm not putting them all together in one direction. If you notice, I have placed the ribbons or the bows in different directions. And now I'm going to create the tails, which I'm going to try to also be very conscious of how much I use. This beige one was so very thick, I'm going to just use half the amount for it. And because the Dollar Tree ribbon is so much cheaper, I am going to use quite a bit more of that. I'm going to double up on these two, the pink and white very sheer ribbon. And here is this one ribbon that is very wide, and I'm just going to cut it in half. And these more narrower pieces, I'm going to do slant cuts and on the ends. And I will use also that little satin cream colored ribbon. And then these wider ribbons, I'm going to place the dovetail cut. That just gives a little more interest, a little more visual interest, having them all have different cuts. And so now I'm just hot gluing these pieces not only together, but I'm also hot gluing the piece to itself to make it stay with the shape that I want it to stay, that little folded over edge. That will help to keep it in place. The sheer ones, the glue really goes through it, and so I didn't really have to use a lot of glue on those because the glue would just go right through. And as you notice, I'm just layering. I didn't really have a plan. I just kind of put it together. And I think that's the best way to do stuff sometimes you need a bit of a plan, but then sometimes you just need to let your creativity take over. And so there I'm placing my second layer of the gauzy ribbons, which really gives a shabby chic feel. And so now I'm just going to hot glue the top of my bow, and I want to create a small rosette in the very center of my bow. So I'm going to take this cardboard and just cut a very small circle, and I'm going to take that white lacy ribbon, and then I'm going to cut it in half, just right down the center. And one side of it I'm going to use to create a rosette. I will just place some hot glue, and then I will just go around, extending beyond the cardboard so it doesn't show. And I'm just pinching it or ruching it together. And be careful because, yes, hot glue is very hot. I needed to have those little rubber tips for my fingers, which I don't have, so I need to get some of those. But I'm just going along, and then once I get to the point where I've already created it, I've already made it once, then I kind of try to come in just a little bit more. And then at the very end of it, I just add a small amount of hot glue to just really put it down, keep it down, and finish it out. And then I'm placing this beautiful Dollar Tree pearl in the center. Now the other half of that lace I'm going to place right in the center of my bow, and I thought that really elevated it. And then I created a small tail in the center of that, and then I placed my rosette on top of that, and then with a dab of glue on the handle, I'm just going to place this bow, which really, I think, elevate this whole look to that shabby chic level. Let me know in the comments what you think of my Mackenzie Childs Inspired Shabby Chic teapot. Now I'm going to create these little teacups to go along and match my teapot, and I found these at Goodwill, and I thrifted these 2 teacups for 99 cents each, and I'm going to place 2 coats of white chalk paint all over them and also on the inside. So once again, these are not to be used for food or drink consumption. Now I'm going to use this paper that I purchased from Hobby Lobby, and I'm just going to cut a strip of the diamonds, and I'm going to show you how I just simply place them onto my teacup. And this way you can, if you're afraid of actually hand painting, I'm showing you that you can find some of this paper at Hobby Lobby, and you can just place this pattern on yourself without the fear of actually hand painting. Now I did notch out wherever the white spaces were, because going along the teapot, or not the teapot but the saucer, the cup, it kind of has a bend or a curve that doesn't accommodate for the flatness of the paper. So I did have to notch that out. So as you can see, I'm gathering it together. And after placing some matte Mod Podge, I just kind of glued it on. And you notice I didn't go all the right way around. You will notice at the very center, those 3 little dots, that's a pattern, and I didn't want to cover that up. I will show you what I will do with that later on. But as soon as I placed it, I put some, applied some Mod Podge on top of that. And I didn't wait for it to dry because it is very thick scrapbook paper, and so it won't mess up. And I did the same application on the other side. And once all of that has completely dried from the Mod Podge, I'm taking my gold acrylic paint that you can simply buy at Walmart, and I'm placing a band around the top portion. I'm using a very thin brush, and so the width of the brush is basically what I am creating the band. And then I'm also placing one right below, and that also helps to disguise or hide the paper itself, because I did use the paper. And then I went ahead and placed some gold paint all along the very top rim or edge of the cup. I felt like it needed to be finished off a little bit more. It looks so much better with that done. And now I'm taking a slightly wider paintbrush, and I'm coming through with some ballet slipper to match that teapot, and I'm going to just paint the rest of this section down to that ridge. As you can see, that ridge that's just below. And I'm only doing 1 coat. Now I'm going to take the gold acrylic paint once again, and I'm just going to paint the bottom edge of that ridge, and then I will come back, and along the top side of it I will finish it off also. I'm just being very careful. This is in a fast speed that you're watching. I did go much slower. So just take your time with hand painting. And the great thing about this hand painting is that you can just paint over an area that you think you messed up. If I place too much gold, then I could come back with the pink and kind of paint over that. But remember, this is Mackenzie Childs, and everything is hand painted. So if you want to get that look, you do want it to look authentic and hand painted and not perfect. So it's okay to have a little bit of a boo-boo here and there. Now you can tell I did leave out that center portion, and I'm coming through with some gold, and I'm just going to place a gold stripe going all the way up. I think that gives it some really good detail, especially with those 3 little dots that were there. There were actually 3 little circles that were, I don't know, sticking out. And now here, the handle, I'm going to also give it a very luxurious coat of gold acrylic paint. And I did go back and I did do a second layer of gold on all the gold pieces. And I went through with my super shiny Mod Podge, and look at how adorable these two are. So cute for my teapot. Now I'm going to take these candlesticks that were a Christmas item from not from Dollar Tree. I was going to say Dollar Tree, but they're from the Goodwill, and they were only 99 cents each. And I'm going to place 2 coats of white chalk paint. And after they've dried completely, I'm going to come in with that Hobby Lobby checked paper, and I cut out these pieces. And as you notice, this is a lot more rounded on this section, so I did actually cut the squares or diamond shapes out, and I've Mod Podged them on. And once all of that has dried, and it dried very nicely, I am adding some gold acrylic paint all the way on the top and all the way around, all the way to the edge of the top of those squares or diamond shapes. And now I'm coming in with that ballet slipper and creating some stripes, which are the same kind of stripes that you saw on the teapot. Now remember, it's the width of the paintbrush, and you just have to use a steady hand. But I don't know how I did it. I perfectly placed the stripes to where they were, it looked almost as if I knew exactly what I was doing, which I didn't. I just went with the flow and thought, okay, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But it was almost perfect. So in this center ridge, I am placing the gold acrylic paint. And the reason that I did not place the gold acrylic paint first is because in case if I went a little too far with the ballet slipper, I'm able to cover it up with the gold paint. And once again, it's not perfect. It's not perfect painting. It's hand painted. So give yourself a little bit of grace and don't worry. Trust me, the end product will be beautiful. It doesn't have to be perfect. Now I'm placing those delicious little polka dots all the way around on the base. And once everything has completely dried, I'm coming in with my super shiny Mod Podge again, and I'm just giving a really good coat to these candlesticks. Now, aren't these absolutely adorable? Let me know what you think about these candlesticks. These pieces were so much cheaper compared to the hundreds of dollars for the teapots that you will find with Mackenzie Childs, the actual ones. And I think my pieces are just as adorable. Let me know what you think of my pieces compared to the originals. Thank you so much for stopping by, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I would much appreciate it, and if you don't want to miss any of my upcoming videos, be sure to click that notification bell. If you like this video, please give me a big thumbs up like, and don't forget to check out my fellow challenge participants with the playlist link down in the description box, along with CRISTI and Cass's channel links. Always look around you for the beauty in your life. It's right there waiting for you to see it. Until the next video, have a great day.